Hi Libra Sun and Rising, welcome to your May 2020 Astro Update. It's Raina here, and this is a month, as is all Mays for you, where the Sun travels through Taurus and then Gemini. For you, this is the 8th and ninth houses. These are the 8th and ninth houses, and these are both connected to spirituality in their own way. The 8th house being Scorpio's house, in the universal chart. In your chart, it's Taurus, the opposite sign. And it's about death, which is not just about physical death. It can be about transformation, the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's about shared resources. So it's about the money that you share with your partner, or if it's within a family system. And this is one of the reasons why this is the inheritance house, because it's death plus other people's money. It can be like loans and things like that, grants, money that you don't earn personally. The 8th house can be astrology and the tarot and other kinds of esoteric studies and metaphysics, the secrets of the universe, secrets in general, 8th house. Because Scorpio is the house that rules the 8th house is very secretive. The sign that rules the 8th house, Scorpio, is very secretive, and therefore this house is all about what lies beneath the surface. So the sun is there, and you may be a little bit less airy-fairy during this time, because there's a real, I wouldn't call it heavy. I was thinking the word gravitas, which means substantial, kind of a vibe to Scorpio. If you've ever met a Scorpio person, they tend to have, it's not just an air of mystery, they have like a real presence to them. And I think part of that is that they're very deep, so you might have a depth to yourself at this time. Now, then the sun goes into the 9th house, and it's really about your philosophical framework, the way that you believe you should conduct life. And this is the God house. So it is organized religion and the accompanying dogmas of each religion, like the do's and don'ts, which is kind of funny because I've heard that the 9th house is also a legal house. And I know that the 7th house that you rule has to do with legal affairs. And what I think the 9th house is about are the laws themselves. So if you think about, when we're talking about religion, we're talking about laws, kind of religious laws, and each religion has its own set of rules. Well, the same thing applies to the legal system. There are different laws for different states or different countries and so on and so forth. So the 9th house is all about these organized systems of ethics, if you will, and things related to that. And so you have the sun transiting through both of these houses. And then there's a full moon at 18 degrees of Scorpio. Actually, I think it's 17 degrees. And this is going to be on May 7th. And this is your second house of earned income. So there's a possibility of financial increase at this time. We could also say that if you have plans to leave a job, it could be the ending of that source of income, or if you're retiring or something like that. But otherwise, this might be either money owed to you that's coming to you, or some sort of bonus and or commission, perhaps. On the 11th, Mercury goes into Gemini, and that's the ninth house. And this could be, for some of you, if you've been planning a trip, maybe a trip was postponed, and now you're getting your paperwork. Ninth house could be far away. It also could be studying language, foreign language, or even something connected to a university in general. So if you are trying to enroll in the university, speaking with them, Mercury can be about communicating. And maybe you're trying to get it all together. Documents can be Mercury, getting your application in. On this same day, Saturn retrogrades. Okay, so this is going to be several months in the making. At 1 degree of Aquarius, and this is going to be in your 5th house of romance, Libra. So that's very interesting. And if you're interested in knowing about the transit of Saturn in Aquarius, which isn't going to get very far in 2020, is probably more apropos for 2021. But if you're interested in it, check out my channel, because there should be, I'm sure I have a playlist there for those videos. So just look up your sign and it should be there, because I did all of the signs. So Saturn retrograde in the 5th house. First of all, the reason I say, check it out is because they're longer videos to talk about exactly what Saturn can mean in your 5th house. But basically, the retrograde can mean that something that you have worked on perhaps is harder to do at this time for whatever reason. Maybe you have to do more preparations. Saturn can be about foundations and getting things in order, or like a foundation building upon. And in the 5th house, we could be talking about a business that you maybe will want to launch, but perhaps things aren't going the way that you expected, and you may have to do some more work on it in some way. And you may even feel this sense of not really wanting to apply yourself. So perhaps you were full steam ahead and then you've kind of backed off. And usually when this happens, it's because people run up against some kind of an obstacle, I guess you'd call it, and it has to do with, the direction that they're going in, and maybe there is some need to review before you move forward. I think this happens in so many different ways, but in the 5th house, if you have been someone, Libra, who has been recently, and I would say in the last few months, Saturn went into Aquarius in March, so maybe in the last month or so. If you've been vowing to yourself, I really need to take relationships seriously, or love. Let's say you're single and you're just tired of dating, or you're tired of these very short-term things, flings, and you really want a lifelong partner, and so you get more serious about it. You may have had some encounter that has made you question whether or not you should even get involved anymore on a serious level, because it may have not ended well. And the thing that is interesting about this is because Saturn hasn't gone barely into Aquarius, it's almost like it's in foreign territory, and it's kind of like running back to safety, to what it's known for the last few years in Capricorn. And actually in July, it will officially dip back into Capricorn, early July, and go direct in late September. By the way, right at the time when the sun has gone into your sign. So think about it in those terms too, that perhaps this time in between now and your solar return is a time to really get your ducks in a row. Because the fifth house can be the business that you own. And when you're working for yourself, you're kind of like flying blind. Even if you get, expert opinions on things, you still have no way of really knowing. It's a lot different than when you are, working for somebody else and everything is pretty much guaranteed. But there may be some things that you have to really do, and some of these things may even be in terms of training that you need, or certification, whatever you want to call it. Now, in terms of your love life, this maybe you do need to ease up a little bit. Maybe you were overreacting and thinking that, let's say you turned 40 and you started freaking out and said, I've got to find somebody. And so it's not about, Saturn in the fifth house is not about being desperate. It's about being very serious. The fifth house is the house of pleasure. So it can be like dating. And it's even recreational sex. So the thing is that you may feel this sense of like, I don't want to just have an affair. I want to have someone that I can be with for the rest of my life. Remember, you rule the marriage house, committed partnership. So the typical Libra, that's their end game. They want that. And yet you may have gone about it in the wrong way. And that may have led to some kind of negative occurrence that is making you question everything. And the interesting thing is that Jupiter is going to go into this area at the end of the year. So if you find that you're still single by December of 2020, realize that when Jupiter goes there, you'll have, a lot more. You should have a lot more people to choose from. I was going to say the pick of the litter. On the 13th, Mars goes into Pisces, which is your sixth house of work. And of course, Mars is very active, and that can mean that you are working overtime or somehow just very ambitious about a project at work. However, the sixth house can also be your coworkers. So with Mars here, there could be a conflict with coworkers. Usually Libra doesn't like to get into conflicts with people. You would rather just kind of keep the peace or resolve something right away. But there might be something that is beyond your control, and you might feel a sense of unease as a result if that resonates with you. Like, for instance, maybe as you listen to this, I'm recording this at the end of April, you already know potential trouble. Maybe it hasn't boiled to the surface yet, but, it's just a matter of time before things get out in the open. And so if that's the case, I'm just letting you know that there may be some kind of aggressive behavior in the workplace. And that's not necessarily bad, because in some cases it's better to have it out in the open than to have covert kind of backstabbing. You know what I mean? So if somebody else is making some kind of a power play, you can nip it in the bud. You can, kind of question the other person about it, like, what's going on, can we talk about this or what have you. But it can simply be that you are just very ambitious and working overtime. On that same day, we have a Venus retrograde. This is your ruler, Venus, so that's important, at 21 degrees of Gemini, and that's that ninth house again. So Venus retrograde, if you've, Mercury is here, perhaps you're questioning, should I move overseas? Is it really the right thing to do? Because Venus can be about your values, and if there's, let's say there's some kind of a job offer, you may ask yourself, I have friends here, I have family here. How would I feel if I was deprived of those relationships on a daily or weekly basis? Is it really important for me to be in this other environment, even if it means some kind of career advancement? Venus retrograde can sometimes be an ex-lover coming back, and maybe this is even somebody from another country, another culture, who you were involved with. Also, Venus can be money. So if there's some money that you were supposed to earn, or that had to do with a university, maybe even some kind of, what do you call it, like a student loan, or something that's connected to the university that you get a rebate on, or some kind of money that comes back to you from that area. The very next day, the 14th, Jupiter goes retrograde. So we have these benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, and I have to believe that there's some kind of a thing that could be positive with this that has to do with money coming back to us. I mean, when we think about what has been happening with things shutting down, the timing of this at mid-May could be when things start to kind of ease up and money starts to flow in the collective in general. And for you, this Jupiter retrograde is happening in the 4th house of home and family. So if there was some kind of, even like a real estate opportunity that somehow missed you, you may get another chance with Jupiter. Jupiter provides more opportunities, luck, expansion, and for the 4th house, this can come with a bigger house or a chance to expand your household. So I wouldn't even be surprised. Usually the 5th house is considered the house of conceiving children, but I would even include the 4th house in that, of like enlarging the family. And maybe if you've had trouble conceiving and then you find that you're able to after all, and if you gave up trying and then it just happened, sometimes that is how things happen. When somebody stops doing it, they give up that resistance. The resistance goes away, and then they're able to experience it. On the 22nd, we have a new moon at 2 degrees of Gemini, again, that 9th house. So the month of May for you, Libra, might see a lot of kind of positivity, because the ninth house is ruled by Jupiter, and therefore is believing that there's more where that came from. And because Sagittarius rules this house, and even in your particular case, because Gemini is your ninth house ruler, trines you, when you have these different transits in this ninth house, there's a lot of positive energy flow. So this is really great for you, and I think you're going to have a wonderful month. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, please check out the link below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.